Yo, what's going on? Whoa, don't swipe any further. This is going out to all you people that are swiping through your phones right now looking for some decent content. You found it, but if you want to watch it live, then we are here every Monday to Thursday, 8 till 10, talking all about gardening. So I want you to come and join us, 8 till 10, every Monday to Thursday on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. I almost forgot. You are tuning in to the Skinny Jean Gardener Show. It's another week. It's Monday the 2nd, and I'm ready to go. Facilia. Or Pacilia, if you just read it off there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm on.
Oh, I can't hear you, Anon. I've done something wrong with the thing. Anyway, elephant poo is what I got.
Good evening, Lee. How are you?
Great, mate. Your signal is always terrible, but I'm good, my friend. Excuse me. You got an allotment? When I go, don't put artificial grass on top of me, all right?
You're going to get composted, Lee.
Yeah, Settle in, everyone. Settle in, because tonight we've got a hell of a show for you. We talk lockdown. 0.20, I think I heard someone call it earlier, or 2.0. Anyway, lockdown. We're back to that once again. Gardening chat around that. Plus, Monty Don's got himself in trouble once again while we've been away last week. And some exciting news about a garden show. I've literally, it could be hot off the press, could be 3 weeks old, the news. But welcome to the show. Anyway, team, welcome to the show. Anyway, lots been going on. Firstly, thank you so much to everyone that watched the Halloween special last Friday. It was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've not seen it, go check it out. The other day, or the last video, should I say. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much to everyone that took part in that. We're back to our normal schedule this week. So that's a very, very good to be back. Thank you so much to everyone that is joining tonight. Let's just quickly just see who's watching tonight. Mr. Suggs, obviously. Hello, man. How are you doing? Ian says, evenly. Now in isolation for 14 days, my other half has tested positive for the virus. Oh, man. 14 days. That's a tough. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Well, we're here for you for 8 of those days. So I hope your other half gets on all right. I hope it's all good. And yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it? That's a hard one. I've done me 14 days. I did it. I mean, it could happen again anytime. I know. But at the start of all this, we had a little 14-day stint, and then they put us in lockdown. So, and now we're all coming up to lockdown on Thursday, which is not going to be a lot of fun. Good evening, No Dig. How you doing? Mark, how you doing? Good evening to you as well. Right, tonight, like I say, we are coming into get another lockdown. Tough one, this, isn't it? It's going to be another tough one. I don't think it's going to be as bad as what we had in March. I mean, the circumstances are still pretty high. But one of the things I'm really, I mean, this once again, this gives an opportunity. Opportunity might be the wrong word, but a chance for us to show as gardeners that gardening is not just for summer. We were extremely lucky. Oh, by the way, phone lines are open. Should have said 0742 357 4520. Or you can, for sure, hit the link in the comments and be zoomed straight into tonight's show, which is fantastic. No doubt you know how it works. Lovely people. Back to lockdown chat. yeah, it's a chance at least for us to say, hey, gardening is not just for summer. I feel like we were very lucky in March. End of March, was it? I'm not lucky, obviously, to go down. This whole thing's not lucky. I'm just trying to find some sort of positive from all of this. That we had summer coming up. In fact, I'll tell you what I want to do. This is very self-indulgent. I wrote a recent piece on Instagram, all the important bits, and it sort of sums up how I'm feeling about everything. So if it's all right with you, I'm going to read it out to you, and hopefully you won't mind that, and hopefully it will make sense as well. Sometimes, this is the start of it, by the way. Sometimes you just wish they'd stop at season 1, an ending that felt good. Afterlife from Ricky Gervais should have stopped after the first series, and so I know we all hoped that lockdown back in March would be the start of the end of all of this, but it seems not so. And this Thursday, we embark on season 2 of Lockdown, a series similar, I can't even read my writing, but definitely not quite the same as when we first began watching. And it does feel like watching, to have no control over the outcome and to be told the storyline as it happens and of which you cannot write. For all of us, and very much like a TV series, season 2 doesn't look great. We have no idea which direction the characters will go, who will make it to the end, but with the most definite feeling, we do not want it to be like the American version of The Office, which lasted 10 series and consisted of about 30 episodes per series. It was quite a long binge watch, that one. But alas, on Thursday, we go into it. Unfortunately, not to binge watch and get to the end, but to get through each week and wait for the next episode. It's going to be a tough time where Zoom continues to be our water cooler to chat about it. It's a show that can bring families together, not in a literal sense, obviously, and at the same time splits opinion. And because of this, it has to be a time of understanding. Some will love David Brent and some won't, but we must stick together throughout to see the end. For everyone, we are going to struggle in our own way, whether you think so or not. We have to be understanding of that. In March, we had weather on our side. The garden's enchantment was just around the corner and saved many of us. As we get back into this and can do the same again, the weather may be different, but now more than ever, we can prove that the garden is not just for summer. I'm going to be posting a lot more, blah, blah, blah. So be kind, be understanding, and stand together. And P.S. The Office stopped at season 2, and that felt just right. So at least that gives us some hope that this could be it. That feels like it sums up my feelings at the moment about all of this. Understanding that everyone thinks real differently about different things, and I feel like this year's been one of those years where I've become a little bit more understanding that of other people's side of the story, of other people's opinions, that mine is not just the right one. And it's going to be a tough one, isn't it? But that sort of sums up how I'm feeling at the moment, that you need to be a bit more understanding. Everyone does. We're very easily out on the old Twitter, out on the old Facebook saying, nah, what you're saying is wrong. Now what you're saying is right. That generally doesn't happen. But we have to be understanding. We have to say, look, if that's what you're going to do, then there's no change in some people's opinions. That's just what's going to happen. But one thing we can definitely do, going back to my main point about gardening, is tell people that we can still get outside no matter what the weather. We've had very many conversations on this show, especially like the likes of Mr. Jackson, for instance, that gets the kids gardening outside no matter what the weather. We can do exactly the same by just getting out there. Sure, if it's raining, you're not going to be able to get out there quite as much or for quite as a long period. And you certainly won't be getting the sunbed out, but we can definitely do a lot out there. So yeah, hopefully this whole thing, I really enjoy bringing this all together 4 nights a week. I hope you enjoy it too. And hopefully this gives a bit of an outlet for us to talk about gardening, to talk about how we're feeling, talk about all those sort of things, and just have a good time. Just get away from it a little bit. And here we are, everyone. And here we are. Dan's in the house, Kitchen Gardens allotment. Hi, good evening, everybody. So I missed Friday's Halloween special. Unfortunately, I was working. I did watch your Halloween special, Dan, on the YouTube, which was pucker, mate. So thanks so much for producing that. That was literally something from Harry Potter. I loved it. Green screen and all. Right, everyone, what have you been up to over the weekend? How did you get on with your Halloween? How are you feeling about lockdown? One thing that I will say is I was worried, a little bit worried about everything that's going on at the moment. And also, obviously, after last time about what happened, the garden centres shut down, which was not ideal, let's be honest. You know, garden centres probably shouldn't have shut down. I felt like they were an outlet that we all needed, team. That we all needed. I'm not going to be able to read this Telegraph thing, am I? They're going to charge me. Yeah, brilliant. Anyway, garden centres urged to boycott. Oh, no, that's the wrong one anyway. You don't want to see that one. That's a later story. What a start. What a start, Connolly. What a start. Good evening, Lisa. You joined me just at the right point. I'll ham up the first part. Here we go. This might be a better voucher available. Second lockdown. Will garden centres in England stay open? And the news is good. Everybody, garden centres will remain open during England's second lockdown, taking place from Thursday the 5th of November until Wednesday the 2nd. A whole month of lockdown, guys. I mean, Ian, you couldn't have picked a better time to go into a 2-week isolation, my friend. In the government's latest guidelines for the new month-long measures, all non-essential retail will be required to close. Hey, team, I feel... I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a great time for business and stuff at the moment, but I feel bad for these shops and anyone that's affected by this. This is, I'll be honest with you, for me and what I do and what we do here, I still get to come on here, chat to you 4 nights a week. I still get to do all my bits behind the scenes. It's not, not necessarily the busiest part of the year for me, but for other businesses that are affected, I feel really, I feel sorry for them, man. I feel a bit helpless about what's going on. Anyway, moving on from that, here's one man. Hello, how are you doing? Not heard from you for ages, my friend.
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. How are you?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. I feel like I've not spoken to you in weeks.
It's been a while, hasn't it? Yes, yeah. What a few weeks it's been. It's been a busy time, hasn't it?
It has been it's been a bit of a strange one, mate. How have you felt? How has things been going?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's okay. I mean, we are reasonably good because we deal with garden centres and they're staying open. Which is great news. They are really great places to go and visit because they're so light, so airy. There's so much space, and they have been putting in COVID measures. So you can socially distance. They're going to have to start putting staff on the doors again to just count the number of people that go in and out, which is not difficult for them because they've done it all before. I'm really pleased that the garden centres are staying open, and because it's a combination of things. I mean, firstly, gardening is exercise, which we all need when we're all cooped up. Growing your own fruit, growing your own veg, and autumn is the perfect time to be planting raspberry canes and fruit trees and all those sorts of plants. So that's really good thing to be doing. It's just good that they're open because it was going to be really hard for them because they had their biggest trading window in March, spring, taken away. And if they were going to have the sort of autumn Christmas season taken away as well, then that would be really bad for them.
Yeah, this could be.
So it's very pleased with that.
This could be a real big opportunity for them to show that there's a lot more you can do in the garden. Because generally around this time of year, it's like I mean, if you go anywhere at the moment, well, especially my one local, I think it's got their Christmas display up and everything's ready to go for Christmas. But it's definitely like a chance right now. Like we can talk about what you can plant up, like you say, like raspberry canes, things like that. That we can still use our garden. And we're gone. It's like, did I bore you, Mark? What happened to him? Did you see that? It just happened. Mark just left me. I don't know what happened there. Well, hopefully Mark will get Mark back. He seems to disappear. Lisa says about what Mark was saying. I completely agree with Mark, and having garden centres open is such a breath of fresh air. For me, I love a trip to the garden centre weekly. Well, I wish I could do you know what? I wish I could go weekly. And I don't know. It's really I need to go. I've gone like once a month at the moment, which is not enough, but it does make a big difference how I feel about stuff. And like I was just saying to Mark before we disappeared, this is a real big opportunity, especially for garden centres, to show that this is, and I don't want to go into the whole garden centre chat again, but it's a big opportunity for garden centres to say, hey, we've got so much more than just Christmas bits and bobs. Here he is, he's back. We did lose him, but he's back again.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
What happened to you, mate?
Yeah, sorry, I'm very new to all this wonderful technology again, and I had the old bit open still, so I was getting feedback by about a 5-second delay. But now shut that bit down and open that bit up, and there we go.
Always professional. Always professional.
Well, yes, yeah, exactly. But great news that garden centres are open because it's safe. I think. There's a lot of stuff we can be getting on with in the garden at the moment, and to a certain extent, it's also, the government have got to let people go to some retail establishments. I mean, can you imagine the PR disaster for the government if nobody could get Christmas trees? Now, we may be able to pick ours out, but at least garden centres can deliver them, click and collect and all that sort of thing. So it's I don't know what are your thoughts on that?
To be honest, it's something that I hadn't actually thought about. We've got a Christmas tree place up the road from us. Surely they'd be allowed to be open, right?
I would guess so, but I mean, most people get their Christmas trees from the garden centre. There's a lot of Christmas tree farms that I'm sure can sort of socially distance, and because they're selling a plant, that should be okay. Technically, it's a decoration, not a edible food stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
I hadn't thought about that, Mark. It does put a lot of questions up that we need garden centres even more now for Christmas trees, because if not, Christmas cancelled.
Well, if you were Prime Minister, Lee, would you be the Prime Minister that cancelled Christmas tree deliveries?
Yeah, I probably would, because I'm quite spiteful like that.
You're the Grinch, are you?
You want to be remembered for something, so if it's cancelling Christmas, then you'll go down in history.
Yeah. Did you get? I texted the Skinny Jean Gardener phone line earlier. Did you get that text?
I got it. I can't on the phone line, unfortunately.
Okay, it's going into the school territory, but Frank P. Matthews, a big tree producer in the UK, has set up with the Tree Council to supply orchards for schools across the UK. Now, any school has got until the 16th of November to register, but they'll get free plants. So that's not long. That's only sort of 14 days. I'll email you the link again, but they have been funded by, unfortunately, the Daily Mail and a couple of other bigwig Londoners, but they've got a big pot of money sitting there, and free orchards for schools. So it's Apple Bright Future, Pear Conference, Plum Victoria, and a couple of other bits, but it's free trees for schools. So the more we can spread the word, at least that's a little bit of something.
If you could email me that'd be really handy, and we'll have a look at that, mate.
Yeah, no worries.
That'd be really great. I should have said tomorrow on the show we've got the RHS on from
cool.
campaign for school gardens. That's exciting. We'll be talking a lot more about schools and gardening tomorrow, mate, which is cool. A lot of progress there already. So it's get ready for that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I say, we're all good here. I'm furloughed for a couple of days a week for this lockdown, which it's okay. It's at least I'm going to be able to paint the shed, which this back wall needs some paint. So I'll be doing a few more jobs and spending a bit of time with the family. It's
funny, you're not the only person to say about furlough. The people, I suppose, lucky enough, I don't know if it's a word lucky, I don't know, but saying they've got lots of jobs still to do. So like paint the shed or build a shed in some cases.
Yes, well, job number 2 is building a hill fort out the back there for the little man, but just build a little bit of a tree house.
A hill fort?
Well, it's going to be just sort of like 4 great big timbers, that sort of square, and then a platform, but it will overlook the fields and it'll be his hill fort. And then we'll extend it as time goes by and plant loads of climbers up it and all that sort of thing. I've been chopping down a few very, very old trees around here, which we've got lots of nice twisted gnarled wood that I'm going to sort of nail to it just so it looks a bit more like a sort of a hobbity hole type sort of thing. But that'll be my my furlough project. I've got an extra couple of days a week, so
that sounds like, mate. Well, it just shows all these things we can get done over winter, still be outside. I think it's important, to be honest with you, Mark, still being outside, because I've being inside too much can drive you a bit crazy, whatever the weather outside.
Yeah, definitely. You need to just get your hands in the soil, and the only time that you can't be on the soil is when it's so wet that your boots will compact it and they'll mess up the soil structure. You know, if it's a bright, sunny, cold day, if the ground is dry, you can be out there, you can be doing stuff. Now's a really good time to start thinking about doing a lot of pruning, formative pruning of hedgerows and things like that. It's a little early for apple trees, but you can start looking at your apple trees and you can be pruning them. I've got a massive tree that I need to try and sort out, which is just growing in a really stupid way. And with apple trees, they're really funny critters, because if you take off more than about 25% in one point, it will just start producing crazy shoots all over the place. So with apple trees, you've got to prune them really carefully. But it's easy enough to find out online how to do them.
Oh, well, I was literally about to say, for sure, you can just hack away. It don't matter, does it? But you've just proven with apple trees, you can't just do that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times with pruning, most people are too cautious, but apple trees are one of the weird ones whereby they produce these excess shoots in the result of taking too much off. So you've got to, if say you've got an older apple tree, or in my case, on my apple tree, the girth is only about this sort of size, so it's not huge, but it's grown in lots of weird, silly ways, and it's pushing down a fence and things like that. So I would love to be able to prune it like I could a cherry or something like that. But no, with apple trees, you can't take off too much in one go. Or if you've got a branch here, it will start producing like millions and millions of shoots the next year. And it takes 2 or 3 years to get productive again. So it's slightly more involved. No, I mean, with things like rose pruning, you can be a lot more aggressive than most people think. My wife knows an awful lot more about rose pruning than I do, and she was pruning her mother's rose outside the front of the house, a big old overgrown rose bush. So she took it down from sort of 2 meters to about a meter and a bit, all pruned nicely to open the crown, pruned to an out-facing bud, and there were these old guys walking past going, "What on earth are you doing to that?" And she didn't say anything, because she should have turned around and said, "Well, actually, I'm a qualified horticulturist and I've seen your garden and I know how rubbish your roses are. You look at it in 6 months, it'll be stunning. It'll be amazing." So it's a lot of the time with pruning, people are too cautious, but there are some plants you have to be a bit careful with. But just Google it. It's not difficult to find the info.
That's it, mate. That's what I say to everything. If I do a Q&A at the end of a show, I just say to Google it, mate.
Yeah.
Mate, I hope you're good. And I'll give you an email tomorrow, dude.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Take care.
Thanks for calling in, mate. Speak to you later.
See you. Bye-bye.
There we go, everyone. That's what it's all about. If you want to call in, then please do 0742 357 4520 or click that link in the group. And it'll be great to hear from you tonight. Let's have a little look through the comments because loads of comments coming in at the moment. Really good point from Mark. This is a perfect time to start pruning. I'll be honest with you, I've got to prune a tree, which I'm putting off a little bit. Just a little bit. I feel like, I don't know if I've mentioned this before. Oh, what's that tree called again? What's my tree called? Oh, why do I have this I've got a mental block about this tree. It's a cherry blossom. I don't know why it's a mental block. Anyway, the leaves are curling and they're not looking too great. And what I am thinking it is, and I think I've talked about it before in the show, haven't I? What I'm thinking it is there's not enough airflow through it. It's too bush. It's not getting enough airflow, team. Not getting enough airflow, so I need to prune it, and I'm doing exactly that. I'm hesitating, I'm questioning myself, I'm holding off. I've just got to get involved, and I've just got to get in there, just start hacking. Not hacking. That sounds not quite the way we want to do it, is it? It's not quite the. Don't say that in the book, does it? Just start hacking. Anyway, let's see what everyone's saying. Loved a week away at Torquay on holiday last week. Lovely break away. Totally disappointed with all the flowerbeds completely stripped and hundreds of barefoot. So, that's a shame down in Torquay. That's a bit of a shame. But nice to get away. That's what it's about, isn't it? That's what it's about. Dan's Kitchen Garden Allotment. I popped to Homebase today. Question to say Homebase soon. You have got all their winter flowers and bulbs at £1 each. A friend who works there said they're closing from the Wednesday. Oh, a Homebase going to close? Is this what I've heard? I might have heard this. Are those sort of shops closing? Are the big shops like that closing? I heard that the B&Q. I heard they had a massive queue outside them. Like yesterday, as soon as people heard about a ridiculous queue. So maybe people were panicking. I don't know about that. Lisa says, I completely agree with Mark. Oh yeah, and having a garden centre open is a breath of fresh air. It is good to go to a garden centre, especially, now we can go there. If we're going to spend more time in the gardens, which I definitely think we should, the garden centre is definitely a place to go. Rich likes to wander around a garden centre on his lunch break, which is very nice. And Lisa said, I'm totally with you. I don't get a break. Oh dear. You two, hang on, these two are just chatting. She also says, I love the guns and they are the best. And he says, I totally agree. Brian, they don't sell handbags yet. Remove garden tools for Xmas stock. That's true. Me and Rich once went on a research mission, shall we say, at a garden centre. And for some reason, all of the stock for tools and stuff has been taken away and the handbags are out. If I go to a garden centre during lockdown and it's like that, I will be absolutely fuming. Anyway, let's have our first ad break of today. We'll get back into a little bit of lockdown chat. Let me know in the comments what you think, how you're feeling about it, and if you've got anything planned. If you're like Mark, that you might have, what do you call it? I'm going to call it a castle. I don't know what he's building. What do you call it? A mound. What do you call it? Grassy mound thingamajig. Maybe you're planning to do that. Maybe you're planning to build your own shed during lockdown or just paint the shed. There's so much more we can do out in the garden, and I'd love to hear from you. And maybe I'll tell you what I'm up to in my garden after the first break. Yo, whoa! What's going on? Welcome to the advert, and thanks so much for watching the show tonight. Without you guys, we couldn't put together the best bits of the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. I really do appreciate you spending your time calling in and taken part in the comments. Make sure you continue commenting throughout the adverts. Tell me what you're up to. Tell me what you want me to chat about. Because without you, we couldn't create the Best Bits podcast, which you can listen to if you type into your podcast catcher. It's like a podcast catcher is like a podcast that's like flying by and you sort of have to grab it and then listen to it. It's a Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. We put Best Bits out 4 days a week. That's content for you to listen to 4 days a week. So if you miss a show, then don't worry about it. Go listen to the Best Bits, because there is some Best Bits. I know, it is surprising, right? I know, right? So thank you very much for listening and watching tonight. Supporting the podcast this year in 2020 is the fantastic Flymo. And I just want to say thank you very much for them for sponsoring the podcast. Just because it's a new year next year doesn't mean I won't be doing stuff with them. Remember, they are my nan's favourite gardening brand, so I can't leave them that easily. But it does mean that we've got no sponsor on the show. So if you want to sponsor the show, then you can. Or you can help support by getting some of these amazing gardening products like this. The How to Get Kids Gardening book by me, the Skinny Jean Gardener. I'm really proud of this, as you well know. I do talk about it a lot. All my ideas packed into one book. Remembering we've got Christmas coming up, it's such a great one. For instance, you can create, here we go, a bird feeder. There's Olive, me and Olive, creating a bird feeder. Really simple, cheap ideas. Over 30 packed into this book. So if you're thinking about getting a Christmas gift for the grandkids, for the kids, for mum and dad, to get gardening next year, God knows we're going to need more gardening in 2021, then this is the book. I mean, there's other books, but this is the book. This is the book for you. Go check it out right now. It's on amazon.co.uk. I'm sure Lee will whack a link in the comments right now. So go check that out. Also, if you want to get gardening in 2021, then you need to join Garden Club. Here it is, Garden Club. There's so much involved. You've got the weekend exclusive Weekend Breakfast podcast, which you can listen to every Saturday morning, and it will just give incredible value, incredible content to listen to, plus so much more, including Ask Skinny Jean Gardener, which is an instant access to moi. That's right, you got a question? Instantly access me. So much more that we will unpack later on in the adverts. Go check it out. Again, link is in the comments. It's £3.30 a month. You can't go wrong with that. So, there we go. There's the adverts. More coming up. Thanks for your support, and I'll speak to you very soon. We've got a couple of seconds of the adverts. I'll just... Let's get on with the show. Thanks so much for your support for the show. It does really mean a lot to me, and everything you do. And if you're part of the Garden Club, thanks so much. If you've already joined, and if you've got the book, then you've also supported the show. So thanks so much, and obviously by watching all of that stuff. Thanks so much, everyone, for being part of it. Right, next half hour of the show. Tell me what you're feeling about lockdown. Tell me what you're feeling about lockdown, people. What you feeling about gardening too? If you really wanna call me, yeah, you can call me on 0742 357 4520. If you wanna call in, let's go. If you wanna sing with me, then you just gotta sing with Richie.
I'm not gonna sing. Sorry, I draw the line somewhere.
I didn't know how long that song was gonna go on for, mate.
Oh well, I'm glad to have stopped it in time.
How are you, right?
Yeah, good. Good yourself?
Yeah, good man. Enjoyed your live show last night. It was very good.
I struggled. I got to admit, I had one of those headaches that I didn't feel it, but you know what? The show must go on.
Show must go on, mate.
Show must go on.
Go on. It was good, mate. I enjoyed it anyway. So,
Thank you.
and Olive enjoyed it.
Well, that was the best thing, having Olive called in.
The remnants of your cobwebs behind you still. So.
Yeah, I kind of like it though, so I'm sort of leaving it up there till next year.
It's like a proper shed, isn't it?
But like a proper shed, yeah. Yeah, what do you mean?
Yeah. What's going on, my friends?
Well, you're talking about garden centres and everything. I thought I should chime in and add my 2 pence worth.
Go for it, mate. You are a resident garden centre expert. So.
Oh, actually, I should flash my card, shouldn't I? Hang on.
Yeah, flash the card before you. Mark didn't flash his card, but
where have I put it? I put it somewhere safe.
Oh.
Well, I've got the card, so I can stay on here for as long as you want.
As long as you need. I believe you.
Yeah, garden centres. Yeah, I'm glad they're open.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout this time, as Mark said, they did miss out on their major season when they do earn a lot of money. But I'm also getting already a bit annoyed with them when I'm walking around.
Well, go on, mate, because I've not been to a garden centre since what are we in now? Oh, since probably the start of October, actually, so a good month ago.
Yeah, I just get annoyed with the amount of Christmas tat that is on the shelves.
Are we still getting Christmas tat happening? Is this
Still getting Christmas tat, yeah.
Hmm.
And it drives me mad.
So what you're saying is the garden centres are being allowed to be left open, but what we're going to see is people still coming out with Christmas tat.
Yeah, and also clothes shops, right? They've had to close.
Yeah,
in pretty much every garden centre, I see them selling clothes.
that's a good point.
So, okay, it's the same as supermarkets; they sell clothes, but yet clothes shops have to close. I'm as much as I love I love garden centres. I'm a little worried about this side of things because I think that's leaving it open to abuse.
Do you think they should do what Wales did and cover up those sections of the garden centre?
Yes,
I agree with you.
I'm glad
because it will actually force people to go to garden centres and use them for their actual reason that we want people to use garden centres for.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, the only trouble with that is when we had discussions with garden centres when we were doing our investigation, they did turn around to us and say people don't want to use garden centres throughout the winter months, which I think is actually more down to the fact that we need to encourage people to garden throughout the winter months so they can go to a garden centre and get the stuff they want.
Oh, it's like the perfect time for us to promote that, right?
I totally agree. I mean, I'm just looking up tonight's podcast, and I'm going through a list of jobs that we can and seeds that we can sow throughout November.
Yeah.
So, and there's a huge amount of stuff that we can do. Or going to buy bare-rooted raspberry canes. Most garden centres don't actually sell bare-rooted garden canes. Poundland does in the springtime.
I don't get that. Why? What is this about? Why? How can a Poundland do it and garden centres don't? Why is that?
I don't know. It might be. Well, I want to say the garden centres may not be able to look after them or something. I don't know, but Poundland seems to be able to.
That is a bit odd. I've just you can, to be fair, you can get them through, and this is we don't really want to do this because we sort of want people to go garden centres, but you can get them online.
Yes,
I've had them posted to me. Get them posted. Why can't garden centres look after them?
I know. This is exactly it. I'm in conversations with somebody that produces bare-rooted raspberry canes because I want some for my garden. I was going to go and record some audio with them. But they can send it to me or I can go collect them still. But surely a garden centre, which is right on my doorstep, would be able to do the same.
You're right. And Mark's just put in Poundland buy old stock of canes that would have been thrown away,
But they still do it.
but they still
They
do it.
They still do it. And I agree. 'Cause I think the supermarkets also and Wilco's again, springtime they sell bare rooted trees.
Yes.
Pretty cheap as well, but they can do it.
I've always felt. Well, I do feel like this. I feel like this is a perfect time for gardening to be put down as a throughout the year constant thing.
Yeah.
But and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I'm going like Mark," and it's like saying, "I'm going on furlough. I'm going to be outside and do stuff," which is good. It's positive.
Yeah. I mean, I've no idea what's happening with me yet, but I've already started making my list of jobs that I want to complete if I am on furlough, because I just want to make use of that time. And I've also said, like the winter time, and I've said it to you, I've said it on your show, infrastructure work, when everything is dying back or gone to bed, we can see what needs repairing and get on and do those jobs. Yeah. And let's say, I mean, at the weekend, I went out and bought a load of wood to build a new bed and for various bits of my garden. So I've got the wood ready to go. I could have gone to a garden centre and got that instead.
Yeah, it's true. I just tried looking and my computer almost caved in on itself. I just tried looking to see if those big sheds are still open. Do you know if they're going to be closed? Someone said earlier on the comments that they might be closing.
I believe hardware shops will still be open.
I thought that would be the case, but obviously it seems like they're not going to keep the gardener stuff going. So that could mean that more people go to garden centres, hopefully. I don't know.
Let's hope so. I mean, garden centres do need as much help as they can because they are a struggling industry. But especially after this year. But I always feel also, I've told you the story, but I'll tell everyone else. A couple of years ago, I went into a garden centre, and it was about this time they had removed all the garden tools, all the garden spades, forks, trowels, all the stuff you expect from a garden centre. They'd removed them to get the Xmas stock out there. But, and I've been in this garden centre several times, this one large table was selling handbags and they were still out. It seems completely cockeyed to me. And it's almost saying that the handbags were making more money than the garden tools.
I think that probably is the case. There's definitely going on at that time of year, which is a shame, isn't it? So, really, garden centres need to be. I mean, they're going to. Unfortunately, I think with whatever we say and however much we talk about this, I think unfortunately what we are going to find is if we go to the garden centre, we are going to see people walking out with Christmas decorations, handbags, and restaurants would be quite full, and ornaments. There's nothing wrong with an ornament, don't get me wrong. Toys and things like that. I see it every time around this time of year anyway. I think we're still going to get that even throughout this lockdown and November.
Yeah, I think so too. But is that really essential?
No.
Would
I, as a garden centre, turn around and say, "Oh, actually, guys, you're not allowed to buy that"? Probably not.
Of course not.
But and I've said we talked about it so much that the garden centres, and I've said so much, and I even said it today to someone that I said that garden centres will be gone in 10 years' time. I think actually we've lost the essence of the garden centre anyway. Don't get me wrong, not all garden centres. We've lost that essence anyway. So technically, a good proportion of them already gone. They're already turned into these shops, and I don't know, man.
Department stores now, aren't they? Did you hear that?
Very much so. Yeah, they're very much. You're right. They are like department stores now, and I think this is an opportunity. I think opportunity is the word. This at the moment, we're in a lockdown. what can people do? What is good for people? Be outside, still carry on doing their garden, do that infrastructure work, like you said. Like it makes so much more sense to do those sort of things now because it gives you more time in the summer to sow seeds and grow stuff.
And concentrate on the actual growing of the plants. Yeah, and
that does take time. That sort of thing does take, like your memory time or not memory, like your thinking time. That sort of stuff does take time. And if you've got that going on, and also you're building beds and stuff, there's something has to give. So now is the time to do that stuff, so you can enjoy growing stuff.
Yeah, and this is where I feel the garden media should be stepping in and saying, let's do this. I think Gardener's World has finished for the year, but it's missing out on some of the best months to really work and teach people what can be done throughout their garden over this period to get them set up for next year.
Yeah, and I think you're probably right there that unless media, it's at the moment specifically maybe TV media is, and like podcasts and YouTube and all them sort of things. I mean, there's a few that start to slow down at this time of the year. We push on, mate. But that sort of media sort of continues and just not even acts, is it? Just continues doing their thing and doesn't like have a holiday until Feb. Unless that's happened, like unfortunately, and I love laying into Monty Don, but unfortunately he doesn't have the presenters don't have a choice over where it carries on. It's the BBC at the end of it, and I'm sure they'd love it to carry on. I'm sure they'd love to do it, but that's a tough one, isn't it? Because until that sort of happens, then maybe the garden centres can't say, "Oh well, we're going to sell more plants."
I think they do say that if Gardener's World features a certain plant, the next day garden centres will have a lot of people asking for it, which again I see that as being a bit of where the media can work with garden centres to say, like, on Friday we're going to be featuring this. You're probably going to get a lot of people on Saturday asking for it. Yeah, there's the information. Go have it in stock.
Well, it's funny. I think there is something about Monty mentioned to garden centres what he's talked about that week. I don't know who he talks to about it and if it gets out there to garden centres or not, but he does let people know, and then so the garden centres can prepare themselves. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? But maybe winter is missing the Monty Don effect. Yeah,
definitely.
I don't know. Maybe all them sort of makeover shows all sort of are finished now, aren't they? So you'll no chance you'll see a makeover garden show. So no one's really thinking about making over their garden. It's the media's fault.
Yeah, we'll blame the media. We'll blame the media. I mean, all these media people who think they know what they're talking about, but clearly don't.
Hey, but this is the good thing about this sort of thing. Like with your garden podcast and your live shows, and my podcast and my live shows, we've got control over it, so we can do what we want. So if all YouTubers and all podcasters continue and people can continue writing their blogs and doing that sort of stuff, all this new media stuff, we've got control.
Yeah.
So the more we do now, the more we keep pushing it, the more we get in people's faces.
We can lead by example.
That's it, man. I mean, I've only started leading by example this year. Usually I love a little garden holiday.
but okay, this is going to be a bit of a boost to my ego. Why have you started gardening throughout the winter this year?
Just felt like it. Thanks for coming on the show. Because of listening to your podcast, obviously being mates with you, and you sending them seeds from your fantastic club, mate. They keep me growing, keep me sowing. So some the other day.
Yeah, so it just goes to show that actually by having somebody pushing you from the front effectively, you've gone on and done it.
You send me about 6 or 7 seed packets every month.
Yeah.
Never did I think Like I could be sowing 6 or 7 seed packets every month. Like that's big.
November and December were tricky, very tricky, because I want to try and make sure everyone gets 6 packets of seeds as a minimum each month, purely because they donated a £5 to me each month, 6 packets of seeds. You get more than what you pay for, sort of thing. But like, I think I'm just looking what I've got for November. Chili seeds. Who would think to sow chili seeds now? You can do it. I did it last year.
Exactly.
Herbs growing on your windowsill, easily done. Mizuna, peas, those all can be sown right now if you know they can be done.
Yeah, it's just getting it out there and letting people know about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like earlier, Mark talking about raspberry canes and all them sort of things. Like it can be done.
It can be done. Yeah.
Prune tree, all them sort of things. There's so much we can do out in the garden, sowing, growing. It doesn't stop, really, does it? It doesn't stop just because it's a bit chilly.
And in fact, something like pruning is best done when the tree is dormant because you can actually see the tree. You can see what you're doing without all the leaves in the way.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, I'm a bit scared about doing mine still.
But yours is a cherry tree, so you're best off waiting until the summer with yours anyway.
Oh, don't go yet. Don't go too soon.
Yeah, because with it being a cherry tree, if I remember right, it is a cherry tree. Cherry blossom. I don't know about cherry blossom, but I know cherry trees, you're meant to wait until the summer because there's a risk of infection.
Oh, right, I'm going to have to research that.
Yeah, research it.
Mate. SJC just chimed in and said that the BBC used to email the garden centres a week before the show went out with a list of plants featured, but they stopped doing it after Alan Titchmarsh days. So actually, Monty Don, idiot.
Missed out. I think I missed out the garden industry being boosted.
Anyway, yes, they used to do it. Probably should continue doing it to help the garden centres, and probably should still do bits. And do bits, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get over me calling Monty Don an idiot live.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
I apologise that outburst.
But I don't think that it's necessarily Monty Don. I think it might have been further up the chain.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So there we go, man. So yeah, no, I agree with you. From what we talked about at the start, I think maybe it'd be really good, but it won't happen because I'll be honest with you. If I owned a garden centre right now, I wouldn't do it. But it would be good if they could do like a Wales what's it called?
Petition.
Thank you. Petition off that area, and then people walk through and go, "Oh crikey, I can't get me wellies, me barber jacket or whatever they sell, cap kits and handbag, and I have to go and buy some plants. What's about? Yeah. What can we grow? What can we,
I mean, to be fair, wellies do fit in the garden centre remit. Not that I wear wellies because I don't like them, but
then you're going to say rain jackets do.
Rain jackets do, yeah. But when you can go in there and buy handbags or
what if someone says they put their trowel in their handbag?
Well, that's a load of crap, isn't it? That's just but you know, when it comes into proper sort of shirts that aren't flowery or anything, they're like we would wear on a Saturday night out.
Right, hold on a second. So your remit of if it's allowed in the garden centre is if it's got flowers on.
I see that fitting in with a garden centre.
Right. Okay.
loosely, but I could accept that.
Even if you've got a little trowel, just the tiniest of trowels there.
No, that's a bit of a pushing it to the limits. I guess what I mean when I used to go to Chili Fiesta, which was a chili show, everything there was chili. So they did sell the odd shirts or clothes and stuff, but everything had to have like chili printed on it, or everything was associated with chilies.
Right.
And because of that, it made it an actual chili show. Now, I went to another garden show a few weeks ago, and that garden show had a stall selling beds. And
Like-
another, yeah,
Not
a
flower
bed.
bed, Gethin.
A bed, as in a bed you sleep in. And there was
Yeah.
a travel agents there as well. And I felt as a garden show, they're so far disconnected, didn't seem right. Now,
I'm with
in
you.
fairness to the garden show, they were probably clutching at straws to try and make some money. But
Yeah, maybe if you put some flowers on that bed, you'd be happy with it.
yeah,
So, do you want to sit in on this to help me out with this, man?
yeah, go for it. Go for it.
We're doing Sean James Cameron.
Hey.
Did you see? Can you hear me?
Yeah, currently I'm looking at the screen. It looks like the agent of someone, like very slowly as the years go by, younger, a little bit older, rich, granddaddy.
Anyway, did you see on my website, theallotmentchannel.com, there was an article on there last week about this garden centre, and I think they were boycotting BBC Gardener's World, the magazine. And I think they've shot themselves in the foot, because since I published that article, a lot of the feedback is they've taken what Monty has said and turned it around and basically said, right, so the garden centres have admitted they sell cheap plants and they don't care. It's all about the profit. So I think this boycott that they've done has completely backfired in regards to what the public think of them.
It's funny you mentioned that, Sean, because there's a story that I want to talk about later on. But what did Monty actually say then?
Monty said, and I will read it for you. It was an article in BBC Gardener's World magazine, and he said, we should not buy cheap. We should not buy. Let's start again. We should not be buying cheap, mass-produced, disposable plants. We should either grow them ourselves or buy them locally from small producers. But it was an article that spoke more about how we can be doing better in the garden by doing things from seed. And I think he touched on the plastics bit as well. Because if you go to a garden centre, there's a load of plastic. But what I've discovered this year is spending a bit more money, you do get a quality plant. And the garden centre that I go to, you can take your pots back and they recycle the pots.
Yeah. A lot more doing that now, aren't they?
So I think it's, and the other thing that backfired about this was, I think it raised the debate in the comments of my website, theallotmentchannel.com. It raised the debate about garden centres from September onwards in the view of the public shut down because you can't find the plants past all the plastic trees. And if the garden centres are trying to say we're not going to promote plastic pots and everything, and then start selling plastic trees.
Yeah.
So I think they've completely this year, 2020, for garden centres. I think they should go back and watch our 24-hour podcast when you spoke about the future of the garden centre, because I think with COVID, the amount of garden centres I went on the internet to go and buy things, and they just aren't set up. Although the local independents aren't set up to sell online, but at least they can sort of do things like, we'll take your money and we'll put them outside the door at like 2 o'clock and come and collect them.
Yeah.
At least they were doing things. But garden centres are going to remain open during the lockdown that starts on Thursday.
Yeah.
But I just feel it's too little, too late for them to be open this time round. As your audience have already said, September people don't go to garden centres full of plants anymore.
And yes, and the one thing that I'm noticing this year is I've had a very good relationship with Thompson & Morgan for about 10 years.
Yeah.
But somebody said to me, the reason why you get good plants is because they know you're a member of the press. And Jeff, it was, who was on my program back years ago. He always complained, "Oh, I bought this from Thompson and Morgan, and I wanted raspberries, but they didn't have any, so they've sent me strawberry plants." And he's like, "Well, I'd rather have the money." And I said, "Well, they're fine with me." And he said, "Yes, that's because they know you're in the press." So when I went to buy something earlier this year, I bought it under a different name, and it was sent to a different address. And when it turned up, well, you might have seen the video that I put up online. I actually filmed it because I thought, oh, this will make a good video how to pot on your plants. And when I turned the pot upside down, something that I paid £15 for was a plug plant. And I was so fuming, I put the video up online, and by 8:30 the Monday morning, Thompson and Morgan press team were on the phone to me. "Oh, we'll give you the money back," and they didn't ask for the video to be taken down though. But this is the money back and everything. And I thought at the time, I'm not going to have anything to do with you, because they admitted to me on the phone that, or I think it was on an email, that a lot of their produce at the moment comes from a third party.
Right.
I couldn't understand why because there's Facebook groups called, I had a disaster with Thompson and Morgan, and there's like thousands of people in these groups. Mm-hmm. And the problem seems to have happened 3 or 4 years ago. And I looked into it, and the company changed hands. I don't know if the business model changed, but it does seem to be now that the stuff they send out is from a third party. I don't know even if they grow, like 10% or 20%, but I just know that I feel a bit let down that maybe I had been played over the years, and that I was sent the good stuff because they knew it was going to go on to the internet. So,
Well, I'm going to speak in defence. Whenever I've ordered anything online, I've always done it in my personal email, which has no association with my Veg Grower podcast email. And I can honestly say I've never had a single bad service from anything I've bought. Thompson and Morgan, Sutton's, anything like that. Always had good service. Can't speak for everyone, but that's my overall thing.
It could have been the lockdown situation and all that. So I do give them a bit of leeway. Like the squash that I grew that tastes of potato. Well, that's a Thompson and Morgan thing. So I'm not going to put a video out because it was just their seed. Like that video is in the can, and that's ready to go online as soon as I can sort my computer issues out. So I'm not going to. If I've got something in the garden, I'm still going to put it in. I'm not going to waste like the money of the seeds or everything. But I'm finding I've had better service this year from going to a local garden centre. And, well, for example, this plug plant that I bought, that was £15. I knew I was getting the money back, so I went to my local garden centre, bought one for £15, which was about 4.5 foot tall. Yeah. And it established itself within a week or two, and now it's doing fantastic. And I've kept the plug plants, and I've put them in the ground, and they're still only about 9 inches tall.
Yeah. It's I think you're 100% right. Whenever I buy plants from garden centres, I always feel like they grow a lot better. I get a better plant from them. I think that garden centres have a real opportunity, and did have an opportunity to go online. I don't know how many did. I don't really know how many actually after it thought probably should get online.
I think it's interesting. It depends what your definition of a garden centre is.
Well, that's a problem at the moment, isn't it? Because it's very blurred about what one is really.
Well, the one that I've got down the corner, around the corner from me, that's sort of like an independent. Sometimes they'll have a bit of tat in the corner. And they actually opened up another shop this year, and I think they called it the Tat Corner or something, but it didn't. It folded within 2 or 3 months because people just want to go to a garden centre to buy plants and to get a bit of cake. But then I've got some really large garden centres close to me, but they're family-run garden centres. I seem to get a vibe. The issue is when you go above the family-run garden centres. You know, these garden centres where you've got 2 or 3 in the country. I think that's when it becomes a bit of an issue, where I remember the days you could go up to somebody and say, oh, what do I do with this? Within 5 minutes, this bloke's told you, oh, you've got to put it in the ground, do this, do that, the other. You ask these days in some of the really big garden centres, and they go, oh, go on to the RHS and have a look.
Yeah.
But you're paying for that, for the knowledge of that person. But those days seem to be dead and gone.
Yeah, they just get anybody who can work a till on to sell the plants.
Yeah, and the problem with social media is, so I came into this debate when you said it's good that social media can just say what they want to say. The only slight problem with that is, and I've noticed this year with UK social media people, and especially people in America, is that you can say whatever you want to say, and people will believe you, and you don't, and the information may be completely wrong, because there's this thing going around this year that crop rotation is bad. You don't have to do it. You can just grow in the same thing every single year. I haven't had time to go to look into it because I believe in crop rotation in order to build up the fertility of the soil, and so that you don't get the pests and diseases getting prevalent in certain parts. But I've seen there seems to be more money in disinformation, and I've seen that creeping into the gardening community.
Yeah, this is the really interesting thing about social media and this sort of thing, but also like old media as well. If you look at the news, is if you take everything at face value anyone says, any sense of media, then you're an idiot.
It really, really frustrates me. But this comes from the days when I worked in the media as well. Is I put an article onto my channel, onto one of my Facebook groups. I think there's 45,000 people in this group, and I wrote a article on Saturday saying the lockdown was coming and how this was going to affect people with their plots.
Mm-hmm.
In the article, it clearly said garden centres were going to stay open.
Yeah.
The debate that went on in that thread was, well, I wonder if garden centres are going to be open. I wonder if we'll still be able to go to the plot. And in the end, I got so fed up, I put the capital letters on. And I said, why don't you just all read the article rather than reading the headlines?
That's what we do. That's where the world we live in now, mate.
Yeah,
Yes,
headlines.
A lot of people don't know this, but people in newspapers and on the internet, their job is to come up with headlines.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't read the story. So when it goes to that person, all they've got is that opening paragraph of that 2 or 3 thing, and they judge the whole, and they make the headline based on that opening paragraph. And that's why sometimes when you read the headline, it's got nothing to do with the article, or it's clickbaity, where they'll say something like, garden centre's future in doubt with lockdown.
Yeah. Well,
but then it's very clear 3 lines down, everything's fine.
Well, I've recently got rid of Twitter, and my phone does this amazing thing. Hang on, where's it not working now? It gives me some news articles if I swipe. So this is where I'm meant to take my news, and if I look at it, for some reason, it keeps telling me. What's his name? Richard Hammond loses Ferrari after. And I'm like, what? It's a story that he talks about very slightly in an article 3 years ago. It's being brought up in my feed now.
Yeah, yeah. And he only sold the Ferrari to pay rent while they were in a bit of an in-between place.
You've seen it. There we go.
Yeah.
But it just really. I had to have a serious word with myself because I was getting myself wound up about the stupidity of people. and the fact that they just didn't spend 2 minutes. And what's really frustrating is they'll go to the allotment site and regurgitate it over a cup of tea in a shed.
Mhm.
Oh, you know the Chinese government put out this COVID. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not. I'm not particularly interested. I haven't got headspace to deal with that. But it's like they'll take these headlines, turn it into facts. Like, prime example, there was a hole underneath our headquarters 2 or 3 weeks ago. Just because a badger was seen in the area, they're now all convinced there's a badger underneath the HQ and it's eating the foundations. And it's like, find out the facts. And if you don't know what the facts are, go and look. And if you're not interested to go and look, then just don't get involved with that, just don't get involved with that story.
Yeah.
You can't educate stupid.
Yeah, it's a beautiful world we live in, mate, isn't it? I love it. And if you're watching it,
Although saying all this, I've been quite busy today speaking to a few people because I'm going to start doing a series on gardening by the moon.
oh, here we go. A big series or a mini series?
It's going to go on for a year. But it's like, rather than being told that it works or it doesn't work, or I'm going to just run my own tests.
Improve it.
But I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to film it as I go along or release the video at the end of the year when it's a lot easier to sort of see this row of potatoes was done on this day, so that you can see the results rather than doing it as we go along. And people can say, but that's because it's been a really hot June.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing that, mate.
But garden centres, I think they've shot themselves in the foot over the past week or two.
Well, the one you mentioned, is not ideal.
No, but he's the one that's trying to get everybody else to ban BBC Gardener's World magazine.
Is anyone going for this? Is anyone saying, yeah, I'm with you, or
it seems to be a story?
No one.
It seems to be a story that was only within the horticultural industry, and I took that story and I put it then into, into the normal gardening domain, and then it was picked up by a newspaper last weekend. Because I just think people should be aware of what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just, anyway, let's not get on to Pete.
What? Oh, no, not tonight. There we go. What more could you want from Monday night apart from 3 middle-aged men bashing garden centres?
But I didn't see the beginning of the show because I was a bit busy watching some bloke on the internet.
I was focusing on
Fosey.
Knew it.
The Vobes is on.
The Vobes. There we go.
I was a bit disappointed that you didn't. I was a bit disappointed that you didn't dress up last Friday.
Me?
Yeah, you just came in your normal, gear.
Somebody didn't watch the whole way through then.
He tuned in. He did you
Don't
do
worry,
your pay?
That one's just flown over your head. Don't worry about it.
It's as always. Thanks so much for calling in, lads.
Fair.
Take care.
There we go. Well, what more would you want from a Monday morning? Lots to unpack there. Let's have another ad. Yo, focus. Second advert of tonight. Thanks so much for sticking with us, and what a great show, right? And just in case it's not great, and what a show! It's it's usually better than this. So just covering all steps there. One more. Oh, and sorry about what he just said, but welcome to the show. This is the second advert of the night. And hey, if you're a brand that wants to get involved in this show, it's really simple. Get in touch, lee@skinnyjeangardener.co.uk. It's not a lot of dosh, mate. Not a lot of dosh. And provides so much value to your followers because it means that this show can go on your platform as well. Opening up such a wide range of conversation to your followers, providing value every single, well, not every single day, but at least 4 days a week, which is pretty good value, let me tell you that. And hey, don't worry, you too can support the show by becoming a member of GDN Garden Club. I mentioned it in the first advert, and I just want to go into it in a little bit more detail in this advert because I know loads of you are asking about it. It's £3.30 a month. What could you buy with £3.30 a month? Like a cheap coffee, probably, a Big Mac meal. Not a lot that will provide you this amount of value. I'm really proud of this, exactly the same as the book, but this is so great for 2021 if you want to get gardening, whether you're with the kids, whether you're on your own. It's absolutely perfect. For instance, the Weekend Breakfast podcast to begin with is so awesome. It comes out every Saturday morning. The first one was with Jimmy Doherty. We have exclusive interviews that you won't hear on this show. Sorry guys, GDN Club only. The Weekend Breakfast podcast, exclusive podcast just to club members. We also have Make to Create videos, which gives you ideas of what you can create out in the garden, and just gives you a little simple how-to. Again, not seen anywhere else on the YouTube. We've got the community hub, which is really awesome because it means the whole of the group members can come to one place and share their ideas. Come together, community members, and chat with Lee. We all get there, chat about what we're up to, and share ideas because it's all about sharing ideas, very much like this show. We also have the Ask Skinny Jean Gardener part of the app, which means you can instantly access me. It will come through to my phone, your question, and I can get back to you instantly. We have the How to Get Kids Gardening digital book and audio book as well. And finally, for schools, we have a schools part right there, which is free for schools. So if you're a teacher, it does mean that you get instant access for absolutely free. You just have to email me from a school email and we'll make that happen. Oh, and also we've got news at the bottom. So there's some fresh news every single week telling you what's going on. I'd love for you to be part of it. £3.30 a month is like nothing. It's so much value in there. Go check it out. The link is in the comments right now. For now, back to the show. Just about enough time to go and get a cup of tea there. Got back with 40 seconds to go. The link is in the comments right now if you want to check that out more. Thanks so much to Sean and the fantastic Richard for coming on the show there. I felt like we got, I don't know, maybe a bit too negative. I don't want this to be a total negative bashing of garden centres because I actually really love garden centres. I think they're fantastic place. I've had a lot to say about them, and you know, sometimes that can come across as a little bit negative. I do think they should go on online. I think that's a big part of what we should be pushing for garden centres. And I do really think that this is the time, like I said, the time for them to shine. Guys, time to shine. Let's see what you guys think in the comments. The phone lines are open as always. 07 42 357 4520. Also, you can click the link in the description and get zoomed into the call just like my friends just did just there. Let's see what everyone's saying throughout that conversation. Okay, quite cool. We've got a lot of. Okay, we missed a lot. Okay. Kelly says, "Good evening. Just sat down after cleaning, gutted about lockdown. We'll be getting Dan involved in decorating the house and we'll fit him working at the allotment." Oh, Dan sounds like he's going to be busy. Literally having an argument on YouTube. He says, "Decorating the house. Jog on, girl." Ian's not coming on tonight. If not, he would do. Lee and Richard, whilst you're there. Oh, sorry, I missed this. I sent a message to my mate about going to Charles Dowden's garden for a private visit next year. Fingers crossed, VIP access. Oh, very exciting. Nice one, Dan. Let us know how you get on. Obviously, YouTube it, man. Charles Dowden, we need to get him on the show. What's going to happen this side of Christmas? Hopefully, we must get in contact. Charlie Dimmock. Still not back from me yet, but I'm sure she'll get back to us soon. Last time I was in the USA, they taped off booze aisles until noon. I think it was. Did they? Crikey. The problem with is gun centers would have to pot up all bare roots plants at the end of season. It's a good point. Again, Mark talking about, we talked about bare root plants. Again, surely, though, garden centres could do that, right? Online is how to buy bare root. There are some great nurseries out there. I think you're 100% right, Mark. There are some great nurseries. And whenever I've bought some, they have been online. Still don't understand, though. I hear what you're saying. They'd have to put all the bare roots, they'd have to put them up. I get that. Sure, you just sell them off. I don't know, or just don't buy. I don't know. Surely there's got to be a way around it, right? Surely. He also mentions that he thinks Suggy could rock a leopard skin bag. Ian says, only visit the nurseries these days. That way we can get advice on where to plant and when. Which is a very good point. What else is said? It does say somewhere along here. Mark says, a bit harsh. There's some very good and knowledgeable staff working at Big Gun Exchange. I don't know, was that Sugget that said something like that, or was it Mr. Cameron? I think the people that work in gun centres are amazing. And in fact, I've met a lot of people that have started off in gun centres and then worked their way up to other stuff. So there is definitely a lot of knowledge out there. I think if you have met some people, and it does happen, I can't say it doesn't happen, because I have been to gun centres where, they're quite young people working there, which is understandable. And they're not going to know loads and loads about gardening. So there are aspects, but generally, I've been to quite a few garden centres, and usually they are family-run ones. They are independent ones, but usually really knowledgeable. That's why I love garden centres, because really knowledgeable people that make getting plants. I've been to garden centres, and I asked about a certain area in my garden. I'm not sure what to do with, what plant up. And they've always been really helpful to me, always. So, yeah, not necessarily all garden centre stuff. I'm not knowledgeable. We're lucky to have 20 to 30 independent family-run... 20 to 30? It's a lot, isn't it? Independent family-run garden centres, Bart. Well, that's good. Well done. Stu's in the house. Jackson! This could be a long night. Now you're talking about garden centres. Use local every time. I tell you one of the things, I talk about it online a lot. And when I talk about online for garden centres, I don't mean that my local garden centre will be selling plants to people up in Manchester. That's not what I mean. We're not going to go postal with it. I do think that garden centres, and I've said this for such a long time, and I'm going to say it for one last time. Hang on, I'll say it to this man here. Oh, he's gone. I say it all the time, is I think they've got an opportunity to be online locally. For me, to have my garden centre, which is about a half-hour drive away, be able to order something online and them to be available to drop it off at some point in the week, I'll be well happy if I order something on Monday and it came ready for the weekend. Then that's what I mean by online garden centres. Hello, Mark. How you doing?
Fine, mate. I'm sorry. I'm just. There we go. We're up. We're up. Are we talking at the same time?
Yes, we're talking.
Fantastic. I just wanted to defend a little bit of garden centres and nurseries. There are 2,500 garden centres, nurseries in the whole of the UK. And what I think a lot of people kind of miss is the best way to find a good local garden centre or nursery is go onto Google Maps. You start off by putting in the search term garden centre. Now that will get you your chains, that will get you your standard garden centres, but then also put in plant nurseries, and then that will get you the independent ones. Because I must admit, I've worked with garden centres for the last 20 years. I've never done Colchester, so I don't know your area. But I've just had a quick little look online, and you don't have a lot of chains around you, do you? You don't have a lot of Wyvales and Dobbies and things like that. But there do seem to be quite a lot of small independents around. There also seems to be a lot of wholesale nurseries where they sometimes will deal with members of the public. They will deal with people. But seriously, the best way to initially is to just Google plant nursery, Google plant nurseries, and that will bring a whole load of places up there, which you can go and visit, and they're specialists. So I mean, just up from you, you've got Scarlett's Quality Plants, which specialises in citrus, olives, bays, and oleanders. You've got Blenheim Plant and Garden Centre, which looks amazing. Halstead Garden Centre, which is at Timag Nursery. That's a really nice little term because it's a proper nursery that's decided to set up a garden centre because they grow a lot of their own plants. Like I say, my current favourite is East Bergholt up the A12, Place for Plants, run by an ex-RHS bloke. Fantastic. So if you want to buy plants, if you want to go out there and see nurseries and garden centres, don't just Google garden centre, Google nurseries, because there is such diversity in our industry, and the chains serve a purpose. They're okay, and you will get great staff in the chains if you're lucky. I mean, in the Wyvale days now, they're gone. I can talk about them a bit more. They don't exist anymore. It was people that weren't qualified. I couldn't give you good advice, but there would always be people they'd been there from years and years and years ago, and they would have the horticultural knowledge. So yeah, I mean, look far and wide.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of people think of Wyvale as one of them ones that could be not a great example of garden centres, but there are so many well-run, like even in just my area, to be honest with you, well-run garden centres, which are, the people there are like so knowledgeable. I could never knock them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a case of looking. I mean, don't just go to your local garden centre, one that's closest by. Drive a couple of extra miles if you can, and just search your local area. And also an awful lot of parks, stately homes, big houses, they have a lot of nurseries that are attached to them where they'll be growing the plants which are on show in the big house. So you go for a walk around a lovely house over a Sunday afternoon, you see a nice plant over there, and they quite often will have taken cuttings and propagated it and will be selling it at the the little retail nursery area, and that's a brilliant place to buy plants. But so that soapbox on there. So Monty's on, mate. Monty's on. You're not going to diss Monty's on again, are you? But
I like Monty.
Yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of stuff going on about him recently, and it's there's a great thread on Twitter at the moment by John Walker, Earth F Gardner, at Earth F Gardner, where he's done a long tweet about because Monty's on basically stood out and said, don't buy mass-produced plants which have a poor life. Now, that's fair enough in a way, a lot of lockdown gardeners will be buying plants because they are instant impact and they bring cheer and joy to their lives. And there's nothing particularly wrong with that. He was also talking about the fact that the growers don't have to grow in peat. It's a bit silly growing in peat at the moment because there are so many brilliant alternatives out there. But there's apathy in our industry whereby you can grow in peat free, but it means you have to change your entire production program because it has to be watered at different times, it has to be fed at different times, it has to be looked after in slightly different ways. And it's a great big headache for a lot of big commercial growers to change all that around. I mean, you're talking hundreds of man hours of
Right.
trials because you've got to get new compost in, you've got to grow the plant in it, you've got to see how it works. Now, it does take a lot of time, but peat is, we can't carry on using it. It really is as simple as that. I mean, do you want me to? I don't know if it would be too silly, but do you want me to read you out a bit of this thread from the Twitter feed?
Go for it.
Okay. So this is John Walker at Earth F Gardener. Also retweeted and the great Sarah Lindback, which I think, she's a wonderful, feisty lady who's been in the industry all her life, and she really knows her stuff. So it says, this is the thread about the toxicity that permeates the UK gardening and horticulture industries. In the current issue, Gardener's World magazine and Monty Don pointed out that retailers are actively choosing to do harm if they sell peat-based compost or plants grown in peat. He was stating the obvious, it's scientific fact that peat bogs release their stored carbon when they are drained and mined. Fact, that is true. More carbon means more climate change. Carbon set free by its use in gardening doesn't hide away. It's all driving climate emergency. In plain terms, that if you're in an industry still digging up peat and releasing carbon and adding to climate change, then you're part of the problem. This is referring to big nurseries that have hundreds of tons of peat, which they grow thousands of plants in. Let's not forget that no gardener needs peat to succeed, and that modern and reliable peat-free mixes exist. Some are used by hundreds of commercial growers. I know a number of growers which are peat-free. Caves Folly in Malvern, brilliant place, First Soil Association certified, peat-free herbaceous plants. Google them, look online. They're doing really well selling online. Let's also not forget that in the UK, around 70% of the peat is used by gardeners, not growers. So it's gardeners that are growing petunias and bisies and stuff like that because they buy it in the garden centre, because the garden centre only offers them peat, whereas the garden centre could be offering them peat-free. While an industry that's doing the wrong thing by our natural world seem to panic, probably because the last thing gardening and horticulture industries want is any attention brought to the fact that they are actively using far too much blinking peat. Despite decades of dither and delay and controlling the narrative on the urgent need to turn gardening truly greener by switching to peat-free composts, Monty Don then points out they're part of the problem, something the entire industry seems to be unable to work out for by itself. That is very true. The industry needs to grow up more quickly, needs to stop using peat and realise that there are better and easier alternatives. An entire industry reacts violently when it realises it has lost control of the narrative. This again is kind of how, well, that might be getting a bit too political, so I'll leave it there. But Daily Mail. I mean, and that's where the effective action aimed at Monty Don begins, both for stating the bleeding obvious, which Monty Don is doing, just stating the obvious, we need to use less peat. You then get a huge audience that turn around, as in the industry bodies, to say and try and lambast him. There have been a number of articles written about him, which are probably mainly from Horticulture Week, which are basically saying that, how can we stop Monty Don doing this? But the thing that really annoys me is that most of those articles are written by Matthew Appleby, who is the current editor of Horticulture Week, who has written a book called The Vegan Gardener, How to a Gardener Who is Whiter Than White Than White. Vegan gardening, no bone meal, no animal byproducts. So how does he endorse the use of peat? Don't understand that. I just want to make very strictly clear, I'm Mark Mackey here, not Mark at Root Grow. This is personal opinion, okay? And it's annoying me a bit. But yeah, I mean, the idea of the Garden Centre banning Gardener's World magazine because he was saying, let's stop using peas. I mean, he wasn't lambasting garden centres for selling beautiful plants that are grown really quickly on a mass scale.
Yeah.
That give people joy and that you can just easily fill up a load of pots in your garden. I mean, when I moved to this house with the decking and the plastic grass, the first thing I did is went out and got a load of cheap bedding just to fill some area, get some colour and all that sort of thing. I'll also email you this thread as well later, and you can see it. But it is, it's
this whole peat debate thing's been going on for since I started gardening about seven years ago now. People have been talking about it. It doesn't really feel like it's changing so slowly. I mean, it's the garden industry, so I suppose it would do slowly, wouldn't it? But it just feels like nothing's really happening. So, and it doesn't make sense that someone would say boycott Gardener's World magazine because someone's brought attention to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately Monty Don does polarize people because he does speak his own mind, and I kind of agree in a way where he's really promoting people to grow everything from seed and division of herbaceous perennials is not particularly helpful for you new and young gardeners, because you want to be able to go to the garden centre and buy something that's easy to grow so you get interested in gardening. And then when you've done it for a few years, then you start getting into seed sowing a lot more, and then you start going into the more convoluted ways of propagation. I mean, it's like in Japan 1500 years BC they started air potting, where you take a Japanese acer and you put a piece of compost around it and it grows roots into it, and you can chop it off and then plant it. I mean, that's a crazy method of propagation. You don't want to take a new gardener and say, do you want to try air potting? Let's get them doing something easy, simple, with quick returns, easy returns, and get them addicted to gardening, and that would be good for the industry. Yeah, I mean, just go online, look out there. There are amazing online companies selling really good quality products. There are lots of local nurseries, which if you spend a bit of time Googling, you will find that you wouldn't consider they were there. I mean, don't just drive down the road to the first garden centre you come to. Be selective, look around.
Yeah, you're so right, because I've lived in culture my entire life. Until I got into gardening, I never knew a lot of the nurseries or garden centres that were even around me. I didn't even realise they were there. So it is the case of having a little research to see what's about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we are very lucky in the UK that, like I say, we've got 2,500 garden centres. There are probably 800 or 900 of chains. If you go to the continent, if you go to Germany, France, it's the reverse. There are about 2,500 retailers, but of those, probably about 1,800 will be the chains. There'll be the big Kingfisher groups. There'll be DIY stores that do a bit of gardening. We have such a rich heritage of lots of independent nurseries that are all out there just to be found. And so, if you've got the money to put petrol in your tank, and you got the the time to be able to do it, then please just go and have a look around, because you will find gems on your doorstep. There are brilliant nurseries out there.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, 100%.
Sorry, soapbox, mate.
Cheers, mate, for calling in again.
All right, take care.
Yeah, dude.
Bye-bye.
Oh, there we go. Well, there we go. Two very different sides of the argument there, haven't we? And there are, like I say, there's amazing places out there that do so much. Let's see what everyone's saying in the comment quicks. Hey, Bren, how you doing? Good evening. Dan says, I hate gardens that sell sweet corn plants for £1. Okay. When packets are £1.49. But you do get the option, Dan, on that side of thing. You don't have to buy that sweet corn plant for £1. You could grow from seed. You know, it carries on. We're pack at £1.49 for 50 seeds, but that amount of people who would rather pick £1 each. The thing is, I've never been against buying plants. I think it actually, if you're a new time gardener and you want to grow sweet corn, and the instant in is to buy a plant rather than grow something from seed, maybe you think that might be a little bit complicated to begin with. You spend a year growing sweet corn from plant, you've paid £1 for it, and you think, well, actually, yeah, I like growing sweet corn. I think it's really good. I think I'll continue growing it. Well, should we try and grow it from seed because it makes more financial sense? Yeah, let's do it. I think I would never take that away from garden centres because I think it's a great in for buying plants, 100%. But I hear what you're saying. I hear you. I'm with you. Does it make instant financial sense? No. I have to admit, says Suggs, a lot of our Y-Vales have become family run and they are becoming very, very good. Yeah, they are changing. They are one of our Y-Vales is obviously not a Y-Vale anymore. I think it is changing a lot in there. I bet it's Christmassy right now. I bet it's well Christmassy. I grow most of my own plants. It's much cheaper. Sean says the section of plants is quite limited at the moment. And then Dan chirps in with definitely Sean, the amount section over the past decade is shocking. Then we've got a conversation going on here, so I might as well read it out. I know lots of gardeners who buy lots of plants just for the summer and throw them away in the autumn, then don't do anything until next spring and then buy more plants and repeat it again. It happens. And I think if that's how people want a garden, then that's fine. You know, if they want a garden like that, that's fine. I personally wouldn't do it. And it sort of goes back, and I know you weren't about this, Sean, but it sort of goes back to what I started tonight's show with, is I being understanding of other people. Like, other people are going to do things differently. And all we can do is tell our story and, you know, shout about what we do. Like, what do we do out in the garden right now? What is it all about for us? And if people like that, that's great. If that encourages people to get out there more, then that's super. If it doesn't, then there we go. The first garden centre opened in 1955. So there we go. I think I just reading a note what Dan said. Just reading the comments on YouTube, team. Just reading the comments on YouTube. Right. Oh, crikey. Let's get the final ad break in. I can't believe we've missed the final ad break. And then let's finish off the show. I've still got lots to unpack on this. So I didn't think we'd go into garden centre chat. We always fall into it. So let's do the last advert. Yo, welcome to the final advert of the show. I just want to say once again, thanks so much for watching. Your support means a lot. And from you guys that are supporting the Garden Club and being part of that amazing community that we've got over there, to you also that have been buying the book. I absolutely love this book. Let's have a flick. Let's see what we can get. The Palette Allotment. Absolute awesome one to get kids gardening in 2021. All those things there help support this 4 nights a week, 8 hours of content, and the Skinny Jean Gardener podcast. All of that helps support those things to get me out to schools, hopefully in 2021, and get the school program thing, need to come up with a name for it, going. I'm really excited about that. In the past few weeks, I've really been pushing it, mainly because of you, team, mainly because of you. You've given me the push to really make that happen, and we are really getting somewhere with that. So thank you so much for all your help with that. It's been amazing, and thanks so much for being here. Like I say, I'd love for you guys, if you can, to either share this stream or even just share the YouTube channel or share the Facebook or just share the podcast to someone tonight when you go to bed at 10 o'clock after the show. Just give it a little share so when they wake up in the morning they're like, oh, Skinny Jean Gardener. And let's make this community just a little bit bigger. I can only do it with your guys' support, and I know I ask a lot from you all the time. So thank you firstly so much for everything you already do. I know a lot of you already share the stuff, but just making sure you share a little bit more just makes it a little bit bigger, makes the group a little bit lovelier. We're coming up to Christmas. And those things are really great. The book and the garden club, really great to gift. If you fancy getting into garden, if you fancy your mum and dad or the kids getting into garden as well, they're really great one for that. You know, we're in lockdown. I know some of us have already been in lockdown for a while, but gardening can definitely be one of those things that can keep us going, very much like it did back in March. The weather may be a little bit different, but it doesn't mean that we can't get outside. I think that's really important. It's one of those things that I've been trying to say to Olive, like, we need to go outside. We need that for our mental health and just being outside and feeling better. We've watched the whole of the Harry Potters, which is great, don't get me wrong, but being outside means so much more to us as a family, to us and our well-being. It's all about making sure children and us get gardening and continue that even through winter, even through those cold months. So anything to do with getting people outside more is fantastic, and hopefully this show does that for you. So thank you so much to everyone that's sharing this, yeah, that's about it really for the advert. We've got about 38 seconds left of the advert. What should we do? What you could do is comment. Whack a comment in the group here. What do you want me to chat about for the last half hour? And call in 07423 574 520. 10 seconds after the advert. So, little dance to end it. Yeah, or maybe a song. Okay, maybe a little song. Okay, here we go. It's only 15 minutes left of the show. If you wanna call in, then come on, let's go. It's 07423745520. I don't know how I do it. Thanks so much, everyone, for your comments tonight, your calls. The VIP crew really coming through on a Monday. Thanks so much to all of you. I don't know. I felt like we were going to start. I felt like we were going to start pretty positive. It twists and turns tonight's show. It twists and turns. And it always does about the old GC word. Not Gemma Collins. Obviously, I'm talking about garden centres. And about what people do at this time of year. Like, what goes on. But it is. I reinstate what I said at the start. I've been understanding. People do different things. It doesn't matter if people plant up their plants at the start of the year, then get rid of them and then buy them again. As long as they buy them from garden centres, that's always helpful. Everyone's got an opinion, and that's what this show's about. I think that's the best thing about this show. That's what I love. That's what I love about it. So thanks to everyone that's called in tonight about that, and I'm sure we'll continue. It is true. I was going to say, I'm sure we'll continue talking about garden centres for however much longer we do this show for the next year. I'm sure we'll still be talking about it next September when that comes around. That garden centres getting their Christmas stuff out. But maybe they'll change. Maybe things will change. I've got someone on the to email list, which is always a list that grows, as many people will know if they're waiting for an email from me, from a garden centre who did go online. And I do want to get them on. I want to see if they're continuing doing that, and I want to see if that works for them. Because I don't own a garden centre. I don't run a garden centre. This has always been from a consumer side of things. It's a bit like me saying that I could do Boris Johnson's job. Probably could. If I'm totally honest with you, probably could. But we But we won't get into that. But that's what I'm trying to say. Media, as we talked about earlier, does shape those sort of things. I think I was going to touch on the Monty Don thing, and we seem to have done that through the Garden Centre chat tonight. But things can be so misconstrued through media. And a lot of what is happening, and like, for instance, this shows that I'm me personally, I'm not horticulturally trained. Thank you. I'm very much talk about what I do in my own garden. If I'm out with the kids, I talk about what I'm doing with the kids and what I think works best. That is why we generally sometimes get parents on the show, because I want to see what they do with their children, because all children are different. So it's really good for me and my personal thing about getting kids into gardening to be getting other people's opinions, because it'd be wrong of me to say, well, this works for my daughter, so it would definitely work for you. That would be totally wrong for me to say that, right? And media and this social media thing and the YouTube thing, and a lot of the people that are in the comments are people that love gardening and really enjoy it and just say what works for them, and that's what it's about, isn't it? But if you take for verbatim, and I just tell you what works for me. Like, if you live in Scotland, it's going to be very different. It was what I've got here. So things will be very different. You need to do your research still. It still needs to happen. Do you know what I mean? So, a bit like reading the news, isn't it? It's a bit like reading a newspaper. Sometimes I read The Sun. I know a lot of it's rubbish. I know that. I read it, though. That doesn't mean that I then go and tell everyone that this is definitely happening. You could. So yeah, a lot to unpack in today's show. But let's keep it positive. Great show coming up tomorrow. Really good show. There's a few things this week we've got going on. So tomorrow's show is we've got the RHS on from the campaign for school gardens. So if you're interested in that and that little journey that's been going on behind the scenes and also on this show, then tune in tomorrow. There's a really interesting interview that I'll be streaming on the show. We'll unpack it. There's also been a lot going on. Obviously, I had last week off away from this show, so a lot has been going on with that, which has been interesting. There's been a lot of conversations been happening to make things happen, which I'm very excited about. A lot of what we've talked about here is also progressing. I'll talk about it tomorrow. If that's okay with you, I'll talk about it all more tomorrow. A lot's going on though, which I'm very excited about. Thursday, we are back with a watch along. I love this. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. But on Thursdays, the best place to watch the show is Facebook, because generally YouTube love to copy strike me and say, nah, don't show it. He's watching Alan Titchmarsh. Don't let that go out. I don't know why. That is. All I'm doing is telling people how great it is. Happened with the Victorian garden. Maybe we'll watch another Victorian kitchen garden again, because I love that. Should we do that again? Anyway, up to you. If you've got a garden show that you want me to watch, then please let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. Whack it in the comments tonight. Whack it in the comments tomorrow. Wednesday's a bit of a free-for-all. I'll be honest with you, it's a bit of a free-for-all. I'm sure we've got some stories to talk about there, which should be really exciting. And I'm really pumped about. Really pumped. I hope you enjoyed tonight's new adverts as well, by the way. And yeah, your support means a lot. It really does. And we won't be able to create the best of podcast without you. So, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be able to do it without you, without your comments, without your phone calls. I wouldn't be able to do it without you, peeps. Wouldn't be able to do it without you. Right. 7 more minutes left of tonight's show. In the comments, Sean says, buy cheap, buy twice. My nan always says that. She's always said it. And in the early 20s, I didn't. I bought twice. You have to learn from that, do you? I know I did. Richard, chat about how long a piece of string is, please, Lee. Pretty long. I mean, I know people say how long's a piece of string, but if you buy it in a ball, usually it says 2 meters long, 6 meters long. So it just depends what size ball of string you buy. If I'm totally honest with you, could be very long, says Stuart. But I suppose, yeah. I mean, I suppose, yeah. Back in 2019, I would have been buying string 30 meters long just because I could. Just because I could. Nowadays, you know, it's been a bit rough, innit? So I'll probably just buy it in 2 meter lengths and just hope that'll make it. And then if it doesn't, buy another 2 meter length. Just tie it and hope no one notices. So it does depend on that. It obviously does make a difference about what you're tying up, because if you're just I'll use it also for presents. It's quite fancy nowadays to use string for presents. So it doesn't matter. It does depend. It's funny you say it, because my granddad actually bought me, and he didn't buy it for me actually, did he? He gave it to me. I feel really bad about it now, but he gave me a really old ball of string. Like a really had beautifully wrapped paper. It's probably about 100 years old, this bit of string, with ball of string with the paper around it. And I don't know what happened to it. I mean, it was just string. I couldn't tell you how long it was, because, you know, how long's a piece of string, but it was nice. It was a really, and what happened was we had it on show on the shelf, and just over time, it like the paper started to disintegrate. Like, I think it had been up in the loft for quite a long time, and then he gave it to me. I don't know why my granddad gave it to me. Probably should have looked after it. Maybe we should just. I mean, odd gift, really. I don't know how much it would ever been worth. Like, it's 100-year-old string. Like, I've never gone on eBay and searched for it, but anyway, it's quite a lot of. It was a lot of string. A lot of string. You're right, Kelly. You can do a lot of craft with string. Anyway, this paper disintegrated away from it, and I was like, "What am I now? Now the paper's gone. Probably lost a lot of its string value, which is an issue, isn't it? Once you lose, once that paper goes, I think it was in a 1 kilogram roll stew. Yeah, once the paper goes, it loses the string value, and then I started using it outside. I actually started using it in the garden. Bring it back to the garden thing. I actually started using it. I've got so much of it. I don't really know how long. I didn't buy it. So if it was in 1 kilogram rolls by weight, so you wouldn't really know how long that piece of string. I mean, how long is a piece of string? Like you say, didn't know how long that piece of string was. But I've been using it slowly. But more recently, because as soon as you start rolling it off, you know what happens? It's like cable, isn't it? Once you start rolling that string off, it starts losing its compactness. So I started rolling. I don't know how long it was, but I just kept rolling. Used it. I did hang it up. The only problem with using string that long is that, or that old, I should say, the string that old. It's just not as strong as it should be. Once you put it outside and use it, it seemed to have disintegrate pretty quick. And I've been keep using it. It's got in a bit of a tangle. I made the mistake of cutting halfway through it, which probably wasn't the best idea. It was that old, actually. I talked about, tying the 2 meter bits. It's that old that I used to pull some of it out, and there used to be a link where they tied it. Sneaky, really, because they made it 100 years ago, and then they've screwed me up 100 years later, which is annoying. But so anyway, I've got this string now. It's got 4 ends, which is not ideal. So how long's a piece of string? I don't know, but I've got 4 in this one roll, 4 lengths of string. Which I mean, I've not told my granddad that that's what I did with it, and he probably thought, well, how long is that piece of string? Lee will be able to tell me. Maybe to be fair to me, maybe I should have rolled it off. I don't know. Maybe I should have, but and told him, but I didn't, and that was my own fault. Like I put my hands up to that. That was my own fault. I didn't. I did. I mean, maybe thought I should have looked after it better, but See you tomorrow night. Facilia. Or Pacilia, if you just read it off there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on.
Oh, I can't hear you, Anon. I've done something wrong with the thing. Anyway, elephant poo is what I got.
Good evening, Lee. How are you?
Great, mate. Your signal is always terrible, but I'm good, my friend. Excuse me. You got an allotment? When I go, don't put artificial grass on top of me, all right?
Are you going to get composted, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably still go and buy a 30-meter ball string even now, but